Welcome to Michigan Reimagined, presented by T.A. Forsberg and Wagoner Financial. And here's your host, Chris Buck.
Most cities have community gathering spaces like convention centers, ballparks, and festivals. Did you ever wonder how they're operated and managed? Well, here to discuss the work of the Lansing Entertainment and Public Facilities Authority is President and CEO Scott Keith. Welcome to the show, Scott.
Thanks, Chris. How are you?
I'm fantastic. In preparation for the show, I learned a ton, and I'm excited about sharing it with the masses because you live it every day, and I think the world doesn't really get how all of this works.
No, they don't. But it's a field that's fun because every day is different.
Yeah, I can imagine. And there's got to be a lot of seasonality to it. And this is the time of year when we do this. And this is the time of year when we have to deal with that.
There is absolutely seasonality. But even from season to season, every morning when you get up, you're looking at a different event schedule. You're looking at different people, different kinds. Like, for example, Michigan Economic Developers Association is at the Lansing Center right now.
Okay.
Probably you're familiar with.
Yes.
And, but then tomorrow is a school district group. So it's like, from 24 hours difference in types of groups is just amazing. But then you add in the seasonality of baseball and everything else. It's crazy.
Well, let's talk about that before we get too deep into it. So LEPFA, the Lansing Entertainment and Public Facilities Authority, what entertainment and public facilities fall under your purview?
Sure. So first of all, I like to explain we're a management authority. There's two types of authorities under statute in the state of Michigan: building authority, management authority. Difference is we manage. We don't own any properties, but we manage them for the municipality. So Jackson Field, the Lansing Center, Groesbeck Golf Course are the properties that we manage for the city of Lansing. But then we're involved in a lot of other activities around town, particularly in the downtown area. So Silver Bells, big one everyone's familiar with.
Yep.
We help put that on. Then we do some smaller, more community-based events, Margarita Fest, Grand Concert Series, just about anything you see happening downtown, we somehow are either involved in or try to help out with.
Right on. Okay. So how long has LEPFA been established and in this role?
So it was established in 1995. Part of the premise was happening as Lansing Center was being redeveloped and improved, and also building a stadium next door. So there were some synergies there between the operations. And so they decided to establish an authority that would then manage both of those operations. At the same time, we, about a year later, took over the Lansing City Market, the old Lansing City Market.
Right on. Yeah. Okay.
Over the years, we've been involved in a lot of different activities, but right now, Jackson Field, Lansing Center, Groesbeck are our main entities along with other events.
And so I was, again, shame on me for not knowing, but so you are an authority under the city of Lansing. So I can look on the city of Lansing's website and like the DDA and like a corridor improvement authority or the planning commission or whatever, you will see LEPFA has rhythmic meetings and a board of directors and minutes and notes and agendas and all that kind of stuff.
You can. We're considered a quasi-governmental agency, so we're set up to act independent of the city.
Okay.
We have a board that's appointed by the mayor and approved by council that we report to as a governing board. But we operate generally with our own policies, our own entities. Everything is set up underneath of us like our own business. But we are related. So BWL is very, kind of a similar authority, but we operate very similar.
So let's talk about Jackson Field, right? So clearly the Lugnuts play there, right? And there's events that go on there, concerts that go on there. Do you book those events, or do you just manage the facility on behalf of the tenant who is the Lugnuts?
Yes. It's a complexity of answers. Yes, we do a little bit of all those things. So when you look at the Lansing Center, for an easy one, almost all the events happening in the Lansing Center are booked, and they book space with us and then do their own events.
Okay.
At the stadium's a little bit different because the team is the primary tenant. I like to use like an apartment scenario. They are the primary tenant. They operate all their own games and a majority of the activities at the stadium. There are times when we will partner together or we will do an event outside of their area. So it's a little bit of everything. Groesbeck is all us, but if someone came to us and said, hey, we want to, do a large outing at the golf course or event at the golf course, which we do from time to time, we just, we'll book that with them and work with them on that as well.
Got it. So you have someone on your staff that manages. It's like there's the beer fest at the ballpark coming up, right? So is that a group that has decided they want to put that on, and they came to you and you guys agreed on a calendar date, and you charge them a fee, and then they manage that, and you make sure the bathrooms work and the lights are on and all that kind of stuff?
That's a great one to set up as an example. So the group that comes to the lug nuts on that, and then they coordinate it with the lug nuts around their schedule and the activities. The only way LEPFA steps in is if there is an issue that's relative to the city. It could be something like parking or fireworks or things like that we'll step in and make sure that they have all the right permits in place and everything goes smoothly.
Got it. Okay. So another example. So the Gillespie Group built the outfield apartments, right? So, the housing structure that goes around the outside of that. And they talk about public-private partnership, and the city of Lansing needed to be involved, and it's a very unique setup. Was LEPFA at the table to kind of allow that to happen, or vet that, or kind of push it through?
So think of us as a managing construction partner. So we have to oversee the lease between the lug nuts and the city. There's a lease agreement.
Okay. And
we have to oversee that as managing landlord. So we have to make sure that everything complies with how the lease is set up. So for that one is a great one. We managed the construction. The dollars came from the city. We had to make sure that we stayed within the budget.
Yep.
We're currently going through that again right now. The lug nuts certainly want certain things that they want to see as improvements.
Yep.
The city wanted to see this, structure built out there in the outfield, which is, to this day, still one of the most coolest things about our stadium. They wanted to see that happen, so we all had to work together and sit down at the table and make sure it all complied.
And I heard in another conversation that, to be affiliated with a Major League Baseball affiliate, the stadium needs to have certain amenities, and one of them were the LED lights, right? Was that one of the upgrades that needed to be done? And is that LEPFA? Did you manage that process and come up with the funds do that?
Most people aren't aware, during the pandemic, Major League Baseball now owns minor league baseball, for a lack of better terminology. And during that process, they've been doing audits of stadiums to make sure that they meet a certain compliance that they've set up. And one of the compliant pieces was an improvement to our lighting. So it didn't have to necessarily be LED, but in today's world, the cost has come down and the quality is so much better. And you can do so much more with LEDs. So yes, that was part of the Major League Baseball requirements. There are a ton of Major League Baseball requirements happening in order to get in compliance. So for example, most people aren't aware that we have a batting tunnel underground at the stadium.
No, I did not know
under the
that.
outfield out there.
Okay.
Well, Major League Baseball is now requiring that you have one per team. So this winter, we're actually just finishing up adding a second tunnel down there. So there's a ton of compliance. We're having to add some locker room spaces. There's a lot more female managers and female umpires, so we've added some additional gender specific spaces.
Right. Okay.
We actually did that ahead of the mandate. Netting down the foul poles, we're all seeing this. You're adding additional safety netting to run the length of the field on the foul poles. Another thing that we'll be adding in. I don't believe that's technically needed till like 26 or 27. We're doing it now. And then field replacement, the turf needs to be replaced. So a lot of updates. Some you'll see, some you won't see.
Right on. Okay. I want to thank one of our sponsors. When it comes to managing your finances and planning for your future, I suggest you contact my friends at Wagoner Financial. Whether you're just getting started, getting ready to retire, or anywhere in between, Wagoner Financial can help you make smart financial decisions. Don't navigate these complex problems on your own. Wagoner has the expertise to help you feel confident that you're making the right financial choices. Contact an advisor by calling 517-853-3367 or visit their website at wagoner-financial.com. Speaking of financials, what kind of traffic do you drive, economic impact? I mean, I'm sure you have reporting out and full transparency and all that kind of stuff, but what can you share on the power of these two big entities? I mean, the golf course, I'm going to put it over to the side, but
it's so a downtown environment. One of our mission statements is to be an economic engine for the downtown. We're bringing people not only from within our region, but from outside of our region into the downtown. It's the whole concept on economic gardening and, internal dollars versus bringing outside dollars in. So we do a little bit of both. The stadium, generally speaking, is more of regional dollars just coming around. families coming for entertainment that live in the area. Although we do get certainly as far away as Howell and Jackson, but generally it's here locally. The convention center is a little different, and it's mostly bringing people from outside our region. So there's a lot of people who aren't in the Lansing area, or who are in the Lansing area, who don't necessarily see all that happens at the Lansing Center. I just gave you 2 examples.
Right.
This weekend, the archery competitions, high school state championships for archery in a convention center. This is the new way things are churning.
Right. Gymnastics,
right. Dancing. We've done a lot of these type of activities in the convention center. So these are dollars coming in from outside a region into a region. So it's always helpful to have that both happening at the same time. It's good in congruence with each other. So works very well. They stay in hotels. They eat in restaurants.
Right.
They stop at gas stations when they're going out of town or coming into town. So it's always helpful to have that in a downtown environment to add, people walking around downtown.
Well, a couple months ago, I had Julie Pinkston on, with the rebranding to from the Convention and Visitors Bureau to Choose Lansing, right? And so I heard her side of their efforts to draw and earn the right to host some of these competitive events, right? They could end up in Kalamazoo or Grand Rapids or Detroit or Jackson or wherever. And so Lansing needs to kind of put its offer forward to try to win that deal. So you must work very closely, or your team must work very closely with partners like Julie and Choose Lansing. Is that correct?
We do. We're almost synergistic. In fact, some of their staff have office space over at the Lansing Center to do some of the sales efforts. And we work really hand in hand together with them, but also partners like the Chamber, LEAP, LEDC. We all work closely in trying to attract and drive the business engine of downtown. So that's why we say it's one of our mission statements. We're in our heyday. I'll say just pre-pandemic, 2018. We're not quite there yet. We were in that $60 million range of economic driver to downtown between the properties and events. So
got it.
We're about 90% since the pandemic. We're pushing towards getting that 100%. A lot of it is just attendance right now. I think some attendance events. So some groups are fully back, some are not.
Understood. I've been serving on the Lansing Symphony Orchestra board for a while, so I sit and we crunch the numbers and talk. The audiences are coming back, right? But they're, we're not where we were, but the energy seems to be coming back, and it might only be another year before we're pre-pandemic levels, and hopefully get on with it, right?
Yes, that's our goal. Is second quarter 25. We think we should feel a lot stronger.
So talk about, you've got some funds allocated to do a refresh at the Lansing Center. First of all, where do those funds come from? And what is the consumer going to see in the after that they don't see before?
Boy, it was a lot of work through the pandemic. The Lansing Center hasn't had a major renovation, and I'll say minor renovation for that matter, for about 16 years. So we're due. Feels a little stale in there. You want to keep up with technologies, but also just safety and security has changed over the last few years as well. So we're getting $5 million in funding from the state of Michigan through a grant process and an MEDC. So all good things. And then we reached out. We had a list of capital improvements and things we felt were certainly high on our list, but we also reached out to a lot of our customers, our partners, Choose Lansing, et cetera, to find out and get their input as well. We felt that was important. Hey, we might see things, but from our customers' eyes, from our regular partners' eyes, what do they think is priority? And really, they did align very well together. So we're doing a lot of life safety and security improvements. Again, times have changed. Having physical keys to building doors.
Good point.
When you go to a hotel now, you can use your phone. I mean, it just, the technology is really advanced.
Yep.
Replacing our fire panel. Many people don't see things like that back of house. There are improvements that are needed to the building. Going digital with fire panels is a big thing. And then a lot of IT infrastructure. Again, today's world, in meetings and conferences, you need a much more robust infrastructure of IT. So we're in the process of upgrading all of our Wi-Fi and IT products. But then you're going to not see a lot of things like roof repairs, and we just completed a domestic water line replacement. operable walls, sound system upgrades, things you're not necessarily going to see. But then we'll also focus on one thing that we're about to get started on is the balcony outside the Lansing Center. We're going to try to improve that. And then a big one I'm excited about is we're working on a new grab-and-go station. Again, a food service option that's become very popular versus a concession stand is you walk in and grab the item, check yourself out. And, if you've been in the airport lately or even some of the newer stadiums, they all have it.
Okay, fantastic. And when is that going to kick off, and when do you think that's going to be complete? We're
already starting. We hope the money comes in the next 30 days, but we've already started on it and making the improvements around the building. You'll see some things going in right away, like the IT infrastructure, the water line replacement. Some things are going to be in a process, and we hope to have most complete, and the state says you must, and within a year.
Got it. Well, congratulations. That's great news.
Very good news.
Any stories about LEPFA that I haven't shared yet? Anything you want to share with our audience before we wrap up?
Oh, boy. So you can find us through our website, which is being rebranded literally as we speak. We were hoping it would go live yesterday, but they wanted 24 more hours. It's one of those things.
It's a podcast. The show won't go off for a little bit. So.
It's funny. I have calls into agents about concerts and stuff like that, and it seems like it's a constant answer from them. Oh, I'll get back to you in 24 or 48 hours, and you don't hear from them for like a week. So I don't know what our 24 or 48 hours might be on our website, but hopefully by the end of today, our website will be for Lansing Center upgraded, which it needed. It's coming on 11 years old, and that's just too long for that. Yep. So stay tuned for that. The Lansing Center website, much more user-friendly, much more impressive. That's where you find everything. And then again, just around the corner is Crosstown Showdown, which is...
That's right, Michigan State
Lugnuts game, April 3rd, which will kick off the first game this year at the stadium. So we're very excited for that. It's always a great turnout.
It is.
Especially if the weather's good.
Yep. Well, the weather's been crazy good. Knock on wood. So
Knock on wood.
See what April has to hold for us.
It will turn, but we'll be prepared for it. We always are ready for opening day at the stadium.
Fantastic. We've been speaking with the president and CEO of the Lansing Entertainment and Public Facilities Authority, or LEPFA, Mr. Scott Keith. Thanks so much for joining me here today.
Appreciate it, Chris.